Okay?
Wow.
That's the difference. You live in a civilization where there's always something that can go wrong. There are always threats. And so you're going to be anxious. And so unfortunately, your negative thing is going to go boing, boing, boing all the time. Okay? And that's why we need God more than ever. Okay? Because we need to get a sense that he's helping us, that he's on it, that he'll support us through all of these threats that we face every day. And so it's so important. If I want to expect God to help me with all these threats, I need to be loving people. I need to be helping folks. I need to watch my attitude. Okay? Cultivate thankfulness. When negativity comes in here, you know that thankfulness is a fundamental positive emotion. There are 5 fundamental positive emotions. Number 1 is joy, which is extreme gratification. Number 2, awe. Periodically, you need to appreciate the divine or the sublime. Okay, when you look at the stars on a dark night, or look at the ocean, or just when you look under the microscope and you appreciate the magnitude of the intelligence and power of God, it fills you with a sense of awe, and that's independent of joy. It's another positive emotion. Okay, and then excitement. Excitement. You know, looking forward to things and enjoying things that are exciting. Okay, excitement. So there's all these positive, and gratitude. Gratitude is one of those fundamental positive emotions, and that's something that you have to consciously remember. We need positive emotion in a sea of negative emotions that we experience in this industrialized nation. We need positive emotion. Your brain needs it, and so gratitude is one of those. Cultivate thankfulness. Let the word of Christ, the message, have the run of the house. Give it plenty of room in your lives. Instruct and direct one another using good common sense. And sing. Sing your hearts out to God. Let every detail of your lives, words, actions, whatever, be done in the name of the Master Jesus, thanking God the Father every step of the way. Now, here as he's writing this, as Paul is writing this, he's getting excited. As he's exhorting us to live this life, he's getting more and more excited, and the Holy Spirit's moving inside of him to give in. He says, let every detail of your lives, everything, every detail of your lives, as you interact, as you sit by yourself, sing praises to God, be thankful to him. But when you interact with other people, the camera's still rolling. God is still watching. As you interact with other people, let Christ rule in every one of those relationships. And so now he's setting you up. He says, okay, what relationships I'm talking about? Now, in his day, there were several fundamental relationships. You had the relationship between husband and wife, children and parents, and then servant to master. Now, servant to master, at that time, there was slavery and everything. And unfortunately, people throughout history have used that as the Bible approving of slavery. Okay, slavery has existed for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. When you beat somebody in a war, you had 2 choices: kill them or enslave them. You know, and slavery was the lesser of the evil. Okay, all right, you know, because the idea of let's spend tax money to put them away somewhere, that didn't cross anybody's mind. Okay, it's like, okay, we got 2 choices here. So, I mean, it has existed. The Bible doesn't necessarily put a seal of approval on it. It accepted it as something that humans did. Anyway, the slave-master relationship today would be the employer-employee relationship. And that's kind of a servant and master. It doesn't matter whether you're paid or not. When we work for somebody, we are a servant to somebody. And so he's looking at these relationships. So he goes, okay, how do you interact in these relationships? So, 18, wives, understand and support your husbands by submitting to them in ways that honor the master. Okay? So, that's the first thing. Wives, you know, there's some things going on here. Understand and support your husband by submitting to them in ways that honor the master. And husbands, go all out in love for your wives. Don't take advantage of them. How can a husband take advantage of the wife?
Taking things for granted.
Taking things for granted, that whole thing, I'm the boss of you because I'm the man, okay, that sort of thing. You know, but the thing is, the first part, go all out in love. If you love somebody, does not love say, love your neighbor as yourself. I mean, to treat them as you know, the good that you would want for yourself, that's how you treat somebody else. How would you want to be treated? If a couple are treating each other in that way, I don't see a problem here, okay? Children, do what your parents tell you. This delights the master no end. Parents, don't come down too hard on your children or you'll crush their spirits. So again, he's looking for harmony in these relationships. If you're going to love somebody, treat them the way you'd want to be treated. Respect them in this relationship, okay? And we want things to run smoothly here. Servants, do what you're told by your earthly masters. And don't do the minimum just to get you by. Do your best. Work from the heart for your real master, God, confident that you'll get paid in full when you come into your inheritance. Keep in mind always that the ultimate master you're serving is Christ. The sullen servant who does shoddy work will be held responsible. Being Christian doesn't cover up bad work. Now, this one gets me all the time. Okay, it does, because, sometimes I'm at work and they put extra stuff on me. And my immediate reaction is very rarely positive. Okay, it's almost time to go home. Oh, Dr. Guy, you're on call and there's one more emergency case you have to see. Boy, I tell you, man, my initial reaction, so far, I'm batting. I have never had a positive reaction to that, ever. This never happened. My first reaction is, no, I want to go home. I don't want to see anybody else. I'm burned out, okay? I don't want to see them. Or I have a patient comes in the middle of the day and they try to stick them in there because of some emergency and I have people waiting for me and it throws off my whole day. Stuff like that really makes me mad. Okay, my initial reaction is one of, I'm offended, I didn't sign up for this, that means I'm going to work more hours than I'm being paid for. Okay, there's all that. And then this verse pops into my head. Okay, how I treat these people, how I treat this, because my initial reaction, when a secretary tells me that, my first reaction is to go off on her. That's my initial reaction. It's like, what? And then I got to wait, and I've gotten better at this. Okay. I've gotten better at this. Because of this, I'm thinking, wait a minute. Yes. I've had to think, I represent Christ here. I'm a Christian. And when this stuff happens, I've been put here by the Lord. Every interaction with the person is by divine will. Okay? I mean, this is a God thing. And so I need to do good work. Sometimes I'm more successful than others. But that's the thing, is that, where we are, whatever job we have, whatever capacity, if we humble ourselves and do our best for God's sake, we will be paid. God will take care of that. We will be helped. Okay? We get credit for that. We get spiritual credit for doing a good job. Now, this is another translation. This is the NLT saying the same thing. Work willingly at whatever you do, as though you are working for the Lord rather than for people. I like that. As though you are working for the Lord. Your employer ultimately is God. Okay? Remember that the Lord will give you an inheritance as your reward, and the master you are serving is Christ. But if you do what is wrong, you will be paid back for the wrong you have done, for God has no favorites. Now, when we think of a favorite, what do you think of? Okay? You think of a teacher's favorite or a parent's favorite. Why do other kids resent that?
It's just like Joseph. They want to be the favorite.
Well, they want to be the favorite. Yeah, they do. Everybody wants to be the favorite because the favorite gets special treatment. They can get away with stuff that you can't. If you did the same thing, you would get a panking, but they don't. Okay, it's not fair. Not fair. And what's saying here is that, look, by your behavior, God, David was considered a favorite of God, but look what happened to him. Did he get away with stuff? Oh, no. He had to pay. There were consequences for his sin. There were consequences for his sins, okay? God has no favorites, meaning that the deeds of a man shall indeed return to him. If I do shoddy work because I don't think it's fair to me, and I just look at the system or the employer and resent it, then that's going to come back on me somehow, okay? If I treat a spouse poorly or my children poorly or parents poorly, that comes back because, God is watching. And love is the most important thing. Love covers up a multitude of sins. Okay? It makes our lives go easier. And it's important to remember that every relationship, every interaction with humans that we have is a means to get easier lives. I want God to bless me. I need lots of blessing. Okay? I want life to be easy. And that's why it's so important. With every person we interact, if they disrespect you, you pray for them and you win because you get credit for that. God helps you. You get a blessing. for that. 1 Peter chapter 3 says, if you return a blessing to those who curse you, then he will bless you. He says you will get a blessing and you will be a blessing. You get paid for that. So you get paid for the extra mile you go at work. You get paid to forgive your enemies. And that's how we grow. That's very important, okay? All right, any questions? Yeah.
Seems like you said once the Bible says, like, be apart from angry people and
Yeah.
some other trait too.
Right.
So, like, where do you draw the line? We pray for them, but don't socialize.
That's exactly right. Yeah, it does say don't associate with a hothead. If somebody has an explosive temper, if you have to walk on eggshells every time you're around them, God has called you to peace. And yeah, you step away and you say, okay, you do not include them in your inner circle. You can pray for them and so forth. You can talk to them, but you do not confide in them and give them ammunition to shoot you. Okay? What if it's a parent? Well, actually, I have a situation right now where I'm treating. I've got that situation going on, and I've got a borderline parent who is very difficult to manage and has just caused no end of trouble. Her children are Christian, and she is a handful, and it's hard you can't divorce your mother, okay? But what I continually tell the daughter is, you make the mistake, because she's borderline, she does have a charming side. And when she's in her charming mode, you gush up and tell her all your business, and then she uses it against you. Stop it. Stop it, okay? You can talk to her, you can pray for her, you can talk to her and dive into her situation and try to help her, but don't confide like you've been doing. Jesus is your best friend, and I realize you have a need for intimacy, but stop trying to get it from somebody who's not giving it to you, okay? So you need to turn off the intimacy right there, okay? You can still love your mom, but don't try to make her your best friend because she's toxic. You know, and that's not, you don't hate her, you bless her and love her and everything, but stop trying to make her your intimate friend, or you're just going to be very unsatisfied. Okay, but that's what you have to do. All right.
I had a question.
Yeah.
A person, say you've not reacted well to a person in the past.
Mm-hmm.
How do you fix that? Or,
well, again, it comes down to the cost of forgiveness. Sometimes, if we've done something wrong, we have to apologize, to that person. If it's just in thought, then it's not real.
Well, I mean, if somebody, say somebody was doing something wrong on a scale from 1 to 10 and it was a 7.
Yeah.
And your reaction was bad and it was probably a 4.
Oh, okay.
So you kind of see what they did is a lot worse than the way that you reacted to it. But how do the person, I guess, they're just not reasonable or rational even.
Well, I mean, this is...
And sometimes, it's from putting up with something for a long time and you just finally, kind of like what she was talking about.
Yeah.
And,
well, I mean, part of it is establishing appropriate boundaries.
Yeah.
You have to, within ourselves, we ask the question, what am I responsible before the Lord for? I am responsible before the Lord for my walk with Him. And I'm also to provide counsel to those who will willingly accept my counsel.
Okay.
So when you give that counsel, if they ignore it, that's their problem. And what happens when we blow up because of things is because we're taking on more than we get. Now, where this is different is where that behavior affects another. If they are harming innocent parties, then that becomes something that we have to discuss in the church to figure out maybe this person needs to be expelled and so forth. If it's one of those manipulative or sexual deviant or something like that, then we have to address that. But if it's something that's not critical, if it depends on the nature of the sin. If it's not something that is directly affecting other people, that no innocent is being harmed, and it's just that they are stuck in an immature state doing immature things, that's their problem. Again, I wouldn't put them in my inner circle because that frustration. People in your inner circle are people that you have similar values with. And if their values are such that they're on a scale of 1 to 10, if they want to be a Christian, if they want to grow to a maturity of a 4 and they're satisfied, then, for you to grow up, you can try to help them, but if they sincerely don't want to grow, I would not include them in my intimate circle. continue to pray for them, but you don't let them drag you into anger, because the Bible is very clear that anger, the wrath of man, does not achieve the purposes of God. Yeah, it's James chapter 1. Okay.